Okay, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me get myself together here. Okay, jazakallah khair for joining the class. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. So inshallah, I do not want to talk too much. I already posted a video kind of talking about the hero's journey, and this was gone over in the book, Reclaiming the Black Feminine. So we kind of skipped into chapter 8. The chapter is called The Death of Feminine Power, where she talks about wisdom being a feminine power, where she talked about wisdom cannot be gained without spiritual insights. And here is where she talked about the hero's journey. So now some of you may have heard about the hero's journey in college or high school. One of my kids was telling me that they heard about it in high school. I had never heard about it until I read the book, and I found it really interesting. So I want to share really quickly a short video that kind of talks about what it is a little bit and how they kind of encourage people to apply to their own lives. Okay, so let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay. Okay. Please let me know if you cannot hear this. It's just a short video.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the ladder. How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Joseph Campbell said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek." What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play? Baseball tryouts? Love? Watch for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows you come across. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then do it all over again.
Okay, subhanAllah. So that was a short video about the hero's journey. And once again, I was not familiar with the hero's journey until I read Kendra Davis mentioning it in her book. So I'm going to just read a little bit of kind of how she explains it and then give one more little slide, and then we're going to open up and for discussion. So let's see, I'm a little slow today. So a little bit of what she says about it. So again, this is out of chapter 8. So how she breaks down the hero's journey. And of course, she's kind of talking about it in regards to, you know, reclaiming being feminine and really like, I guess, rejecting what Dunya's version is that we're supposed to be and kind of being true to ourselves. Okay, so she says in Act 1, was called the departure. She says this may be while you're living under what she calls the lost value system or just anything, right? Then the next is call to adventure, the call to change. Once accepted, the meeting of the mentor. This is where you start to seek guidance. So that's Act 1. Act 2, the initiation. This is the unknown territory. This is when we leave our comforts and physically or spiritually. Doesn't have to be literally. I like right here where she said you must die a social death. This may be where you will lose friends. This is where your relationships change. And also here is where you will be, we will have to deal with our personal issues and struggles, and this is considered the lowest point. However, the reward is what we discover as a result of such a tremendous victory. Within the little, as we're changing, we will experience victories, and in those victories, we will find we will learn new revelations about ourselves. And then the final act, the return, when you go back to the ordinary world, when really the only thing that's changed is you, and how you have to restructure and kind of readjust to kind of an old setting, but being the new person. And then finally is the resurrection. Here is where the last time the hero is faced with a challenge. Here is the test, whether or not we are on the right path. Will we go back? And finally, she calls the final triumph. Here she says that we are the heroes in our lives. The main things heroes do is inspire those around them to be better versions. So yeah, I found that really interesting. And as I stated, I had never heard of the hero's journey until I read it mentioned in her book. And then I also recently just heard a talk about it from a yogi speaker. So this is out of Sat Yoga Institute. Now he kind of flipped it a little bit, and basically said that now what we see when it comes to the hero journey is kind of like the the anti-hero's journey, because now the way it's portrayed is that the hero is the ego. So like the movies that we see, the Terminator, or I don't know, Spider-Man, whatever, they can kill, they're murderers, like everything is ego, ego, ego. And when in actuality, I guess the hero's journey was meant for us to kind of fight the ego. So he was saying how the now everything is like everyone is like, if we get caught up in what's going on in modern and how they portray the hero in dunya in movies and stuff like that, it is no longer trying to like get close to God. Now we want external gain. Everything is emotion. So now we're doing all these things for love, for romance. We're doing it for status. We're doing it for ego, ultimately, the way it's portrayed. And in that, people are not really heroes. It's just a facade, because, you know, to be a quote unquote hero is internal. And we know that the best example of this, and this is not Islamic, I'm just putting it in there, is we look at the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now he didn't, you know, he was the best of humanity, the best of all creations. And so he wasn't egotistical. It wasn't like he went from bad to good. No, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But even he, being the best, had to go through different changes and had his own rock bottom and had his own losses. And so, especially with our religion, it teaches us that in those rock bottoms, in those trials, in those quests to become better, whether you're trying to lose weight and your body is sore, or you're moving to someplace new and it's scary because it's unfamiliar, whatever it is, that if we keep our focus that we're doing this for the sake of Allah, we're doing this to, you know, to be better, then we will gain some wisdom in those hardships. We'll get our rewards, you know? So finally, the last thing I wanted to share in regards to this was this other kind of, where is it? Okay, hold on a second. This other thing that kind of mentions it here is a master's class. Once again, it's kind of the same format, the hero's journey. The hero leaves the familiar world behind. Of course, that is, it could be physically, you know, spiritually, emotionally. The initiation and the return, give some history, the stages. And I found it so interesting because I had never watched The Matrix. There's a lot of movies I've never watched. And coincidentally, my kids and I, we watched it last night. And I don't know if any of you sisters have watched it before, but it's listed as one of the examples of the hero's journey. But interesting enough is also, for me, it kind of reminds me of what that speaker out of SAT Yoga Institute says, is that it's not like it's an anti-hero. It's like someone who kills. And okay, so the Matrix. So he starts off in the ordinary world. He's just a regular computer programmer. And then the call to adventure is when he gets the message, you know, the girl with the tattoo on her back. Then he isn't sure, you know, the refusal of the call, then Morpheus, and, you know, and all that. But this is kind of like how Hollywood puts it, like, you're the superstar, like, I always knew I was the one, or I'm the one, or so that's kind of how it's like being portrayed, like for you to get like worldly accolades. But in reality, you know, inshallah, we get the idea of kind of what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to challenge us to be a better person. And it's really supposed to be an interpersonal thing, as opposed to an outwardly, I am a hero, look at me, look at what I've accomplished. That's actually the opposite of, I guess, what was his original intention. So okay, so I'm gonna get ready to stop so that you guys can share. But I brought this up because I in the last video that I put, I posed the question as to where do you think you may be in this journey when you look at, let me pull it up. like when you think about the hero's journey, where do you think you fit? Whether it's, of course, Islamically, but like, is there something there like that we can be improving on, especially for Ramadan? Oh my gosh, I need a moderator. That's why I need my daughter to be up on here so she can do this part for me. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. Okay, am I sharing? Okay, hold on one second. I'm sorry, sisters. Okay, inshallah, you guys can see this chart. No. Can you guys see this chart? It says hero's journey. No. Okay, let me fix. Boom. Share. Gloria. Okay. Okay. Can somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see the brown chart? No? Can anybody see? Thumbs up? Okay. Is anybody there? Okay, so here's the hero's journey example. So I think I use the example for me as to getting more serious about reading the Quran in Arabic, and how one of my goals is to, not for Ramadan, but I guess for the year, is to be able to read Juz Amma. And that I talked about how I've been stuck or kind of slacking. I'm on Surah Fajr. And so I would say I'm in the crossing of the thresholds, which is like, okay, how do maybe I'm in the road of trials where I'm trying to fight against the familiar, what I'm usually doing, even in 10, 20 minutes that I can be practicing reading Quran. There's YouTube, there's too many resources for me to not, too many excuses for me to not be doing this. Thank you, Gabriela. Okay. For the chat. Okay. There's too many excuses for me to say I can't do it. So my thing is to try to restructure my time so that I can read more. I don't know if I've hit rock bottom. Maybe this is rock bottom. I don't know. But that's kind of what I shared. And I mentioned before, like, it can be something as big as, Islam is new. Like for Gabriela, this is, part of your hero's journey. It could be something small. It can be whatever, but should always be on a quest to be bettering ourselves, in really multiple areas, but just wanted us to kind of think of at least one that we can share. So I'm going to stop recording right now, and then we'll open it up if anybody wants to share anything. Okay, let me stop the recording.